Hello my fellow boxing enthusiasts. Uzuk presents the most underrated heavyweight of all time. Throughout boxing history there have been many intimidating fighters, but the ring walk from this man here beats all. Ice cold, focused.
Size, experience, punching power, everything favors Vitali Klitschko.
Here comes the defending world champion, Dr. Ironfist, Vitali Klitschko!
A man who at 6'7" and weighing 250 pounds was destined to rule the heavyweight world boxing division, and he ruled it with an iron fist. The highest knockout percentages in boxing history, 87.23% of his fights have ended in a devastating knockout.
Jetzt ist mitgenommen. Alten-Belinski schwer getroffen. Oh, der wackelt, der geht zu Boden.
Before going in for the kill, Vitali Klitschko would step-by-step outbox his challengers, leading with a fantastic jab and even better reflexes.
And defending WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Dr. Ironfist, Vitali Klitschko!
A true class act outside of the ring and perfect representative for the great sport of heavyweight boxing. Sadly, the brothers Klitschko have not gotten the respect and recognition they deserve for the great things they have achieved inside as well as outside of the ring, despite being on top of heavyweight boxing and defeating all who challenged them for over a decade. This video will be dedicated to Vitali Klitschko and his late great legendary trainer, Fritz Stunek. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best heavyweights to ever grace a canvas and to ever step foot in a professional boxing ring.
Dr. Ironfist, Vitali Klitschko!
Vitali Klitschko was born on July 19th, 1971, and he was born in Kyrgyzstan. You're probably wondering where that is. Well, you've probably heard of some countries around it.
This is my country of Kazakhstan. It locates between Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan.
Subscribe. Anyway, as I was saying, Kyrgyzstan back in the day was part of the USSR, which means Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
Where the Soviet-backed government suddenly is talking peace, and US-backed Muslim rebels are bringing the war downtown.
And that's the reason why the Klitschko brothers still speak Russian to this day.
To this day!
His father was a Ukrainian officer for the Soviet army, and his mother was a school teacher. They were children of the Cold War, raised by a cold warrior. So you can imagine that Vitali and Vladimir both had a very strict upbringing, and their childhood was not all fun and games. They learned that hard work was the foundation of achieving anything in life. From 1980 to 1985, Vitali studied at a university to receive a degree as a sport teacher, which he received many degrees over the years. In fact, in the early 2000s, he achieved a doctorate in sports science. The subject of his doctorate was talent promotion in sports, helping the youth, the next generation, get opportunities to excel at what they are talented in. Hence, Dr. Ironfist. Oh, and on a side note, Vladimir Klitschko as well received his doctorate over the years in his studies. Hence, Dr. Steel Hammer, Vladimir Klitschko, which this already from an academic standpoint of view leaves the brothers Klitschko above 99% of the boxers you can think of right now. Not just intelligent fighters, intelligent businessmen, nah. The average person saying that getting hit in the head in boxing is unhealthy and you will become stupid over the years, well, no comments needed. When the brothers Klitschko were only teenagers, they were both already really big guys, which got them into some different types of social environments. In the early 90s, they were accused of being invested with the mafia. However, I'm not going to go into detail on this subject because not much is known, and at that time, after the Soviet Union broke apart in 1991 and Ukraine was independent, the country of Ukraine was basically not even working as a country as you might imagine. You just had to be part of the groups taking over, otherwise you were done. Now let's dive into the main reason why you are watching this video here, and that is the boxer, Vitali Klitschko. Well, maybe we are not quite there yet, because Vitali Klitschko may have started off with boxing training at the age of 14 on a military base where his father was working. However, he focused more on kickboxing instead. From 1985 to 1992, he achieved quite a bit in kickboxing actually, from winning the championships of Ukraine to even being accepted to fight in the national team of kickboxing for teenagers. That was the first time he was able to go to the United States of America to face off against the American kickboxing national team. He did not win his fight, but he says in the Klitschko movie that it was an unbelievable experience and one that had a big impact on his life because it gave him the courage to dream big. For a short time, he stopped training because he joined the military. He soon after returned, however, to the ring at the Military World Kickboxing Championships in Paris, and he won it.
Oh, nice long punches there from Klitschko, and he's actually got, oh goodness me, he's out of the ring now.
Vitali was a 6-time world kickboxing champion, 2 times at the Amateur World Championships, and 4 at the Professional. From 1992 to 1996, Vitali's boxing journey began at the amateurs with an impressive record of 195 victories, 80 KOs, and only 15 losses. He was champion of Ukraine and he won the military championships in Rome in 1995. Vitali's next goal would be the Olympics in 1996.
The International Olympic Committee has awarded the 1996 Olympic Games to the city of Atlanta.
Unfortunately, he was tested positive for a steroid called nandrolone and therefore was not allowed to compete. Now this documentary here is in fact about the older Klitschko brother Vitali. However, this is the moment in which I will be mentioning his younger brother Vladimir from time to time. By the way, let me know in the comment section below if I should make a separate video on Vladimir Klitschko's life as well. See, Vladimir turned out to be Vitali's replacement for the 1996 Olympics, and he returned home with a gold medal. Vladimir had a very impressive amateur record, having won 134 out of his 140 fights and 65 through knockout. In 1996, both brothers received an offer to turn pro in Germany at the Universum Box promotion in Hamburg. The new manager was Klaus-Peter Kohl. This is where the journey of the brothers Klitschko and their success as professional boxers begins. Vitali started off in the heavyweight ranks with impressive power, knocking out his first 10 opponents within the first 2 rounds.
From Donald, and he's taking a lot of punches from Klitschko.
The fighters he fought in the beginning of his career aren't really worth mentioning. Like pretty much all professional boxers, you need some build-up fights first to allow your fighter to get some impressive knockouts, confidence in the ring, and gather a weighty reputation which would be good enough to be able to get that one chance, that one opportunity to fight for a title and make a name for yourself. After 18 victories and 18 knockouts, Vitali got that chance. In his 19th bout on February 5th, 1998, he faced off against Dickie Ryan in a 12-round fight for the vacant WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight title. Dickey had 46 wins and only 3 losses at the time, and many thought it would be Vitali's hardest test so far. Vitali stopped Dickey Ryan in round 5 after brutal punishment was dished out by the Ukrainian giant. On the 24th of October 1998, he got his next opportunity. He faced off against Mario Shisav for the vacant EBU European Heavyweight Championship. Mario had 36 wins and only 3 losses. Vitali used his reach advantage, stuck behind his strong jab, and knocked him out in the very first round. After successfully defending his EBU European Heavyweight title twice by knockout, he finally got the shot of a lifetime. After all the hard work, he got to face the WBO World Heavyweight Champion Herbie Hide on June 26, 1999. Herbie Hide had 31 victories and only 1 loss, and that 1 loss coming to him being defeated for the WBO title against none other than one of the most underrated heavyweight fighters of all time as well. In 1995, Herbie won back the WBO belt in 1996 against Tony Tucker by technical knockout. Vitali stayed behind his great jab and dominated from the center of the ring. After 1 minute and 30 seconds of the second round, Herbie Hide would be lying on the canvas not knowing what hit him. Vitali Klitschko had become the WBO World Heavyweight Champion. It's safe to say that the United States of America is the capital of boxing. If you haven't made it in the States, then you haven't made it at all. Sadly, not many Americans knew of Vitali's recent victory.
Vitali Klitschko!
The two gentlemen soon realized that if you really want to succeed at boxing, you have to do it in the United States. So they moved to Los Angeles and began the long run towards the top of the boxing world.
And the ones who did know who Vitali and Vladimir Klitschko were didn't really give them much credit. Critics said that yes, they were big guys, but they lacked technique, and they haven't fought any true opponents.
Neither one is perfect. Neither one jumps out at me as being dominant, great fighters. But they're both good, and they're both really big. And it'd be a tall order for anyone to beat either guy.
So Vitali had to prove himself against an American fighter to be able to gain the respect from the world's biggest boxing critics.
Klitschkos are also under pressure from a boxing world desperate for new stars.
You're watching HBO.
The giants from behind the Iron Curtain have become the great red hopes of boxing.
On the 1st of April 2000, he fought Chris Byrd.
6 months later, he took an ad in a Las Vegas newspaper declaring that all the heavyweights out there don't want to fight him. He was calling them all out. That's a little man's arrogance. We have an American arrogant fox against a Ukrainian arrogant bear.
Chris Byrd had 30 wins and 1 loss. Vitali had 27 wins and had won all of them by knockout. Vitali dominated the fight, and it was clear that he was just too good and too tall for the short 6'2" American Chris Byrd.
Trying to repeat that same pattern here. Harold, how do you have it for 6? Okay, Jim. 59-55, 5 rounds to 1. Vitali Klitschko. In round 6, he definitely won the round. And if you're wondering about the difference between Byrd,
Take a deep breath, let out slow. You still letting him catch you with 2 minutes.
one more drink.
2 minutes.
Quick.
Necessary punches. Good series to the head and the body.
Byrd trying to dull Klitschko into believing that he had hurt him with the right hand, and now Byrd exciting the crowd by landing back in counter, and Klitschko fires a left hook and then comes back with
However, despite being ahead on all the scorecards, Vitali did not come out to the bell in round number 11 and he quit due to an injury in his corner. Or should I say he was forced to quit. No one believed him. They thought the 6'7" giant had been defeated by the smaller American Byrd due to him not having the heart of a champion.
Maybe the difference, Jim, is that Klitschko got his PhD in sports science from a university instead of from the School of Hard Knocks.
There were literally articles published in which they accused him of not having the heart of a champion. Are you kidding me?
Chris, congratulations. What do you think happened at the end of the fight?
I guess his shoulder went out, but I was coming on. You know, I really wanted it. I felt he was outboxing me a bit, but I just kept coming and I pursued it.
You think that your activity toward the later rounds is what discouraged him in some way?
Yeah. I mean, I fought against Russia 11 times in the amateurs. And the last 3 times I won, and I stopped 2 of them. And I kept coming, and they quit. So I'm not saying he don't have a big heart, but hey, 235 pounds, 6'8". That's crazy. Throw it to the bite, throw it to the head, I won it.
What was the problem? Did you come into this fight with an injury?
There was no injury. There was an old injury, but it didn't inflict on the fight.
You seem to be way ahead in the fight. That all you had to do was survive till the end of the 12th round to win the fight. Why would you give up your title in those circumstances?
I will come back into the ring sound and I will win back my title.
Shouldn't a prize fighter be able to fight when he's hurt?
I don't want to fight and get an injury and not be able to fight anymore. I want to be able to go back into the ring and fight.
Thank you very much, Vitali.
Even though it is proven to this day that his shoulder was so severely injured, and if he would have continued the fight, then he would have risked never being able to box again. This was a very crucial moment in his boxing career. He had done so much to become a world champion, and no one believed him. Everyone said he is soft, he can't take any punishment in the ring, can only fight against bums, a quitter.
When you had to retire because of an injured shoulder, that was your lowest moment. Was it difficult to come back from that?
It was painful for me because I have a lot of critique. I don't have heart, I can't fight, I never will be big, I never will be world champion. I have dreams and I work really hard, every sparring, every training to show for everybody it's not true.
But of course the story goes on, and the Ukrainian giant would once again rise, and he would come back even stronger and even more determined to prove to the world that he is the best heavyweight boxer on the planet. His journey back started off with a quick knockout victory for the vacant EBU European heavyweight title against Timo Hoffman on November 25th, 2000. So far, boxing has had great success stories. Some similar to previous ones, but there is only one story in boxing history like the brothers Klitschko. A brother taking revenge for his brother. Something that has happened on multiple occasions throughout both their careers. Since they were both pretty much built the same, they could take revenge if one of them ever lost. This is the reason why Vitali did not get a rematch against Byrd for the WBO World Heavyweight Championship. After giving up in the 10th round and receiving his first loss, Vladimir took revenge and fought against Byrd on the 14th of October 2000. He won by unanimous decision.
Jetzt immer besser und Klitschko hält das Tempo so wie es braucht.
In favor of the winner and the new WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Vitali Klitschko.
Erstens, wir sind keine Weichheit. Zweitens, ich bin zurzeit Weltmeister. Und drittens, ich liebe meine Brüder. Danke.
And became the WBO World Heavyweight Champion himself. When Vitali returned back to the ring, he had his eyes set on another prize.
At this point, has enough skill.
Yeah, the double uppercut. Look at that from a big man. Then a bing, bing. 1-2 down the middle and ends things. You don't see big guys put punches together like that.
And he did it.
He's impressed me tonight, I must admit it.
Vitali Klitschko scores his 34th knockout in 35 wins.
After 4 quick knockout wins, he got the chance of a lifetime. One-on-one against the man who not only beat Iron Mike Tyson, but also the real deal Evander Holyfield, the back then current WBC and IBO World Heavyweight Champion Lennox Lewis. Rightfully, this fight was billed as the Battle of the Titans.
And this is, as you have read in your local papers, 13 feet, more than 500 pounds of heavyweights in the ring to contest the championship.
Due to Vitali having previously fought against smaller opposition, many critics said that he would be outmatched by Lewis.
Also unclear is just how good Vitali Klitschko is. His record is 32-1 with 31 knockouts, although the general quality of his competition has been questioned. What is the likelihood of a Klitschko upset tonight?
I think it's big. Lennox Lewis, I think it's big because Lennox Lewis, he's been on top for a long time, but his MO, you can catch him cold. And when he's not ready, he can get out there and get caught on the chin with a right hand. This guy Klitschko, he's got the right hand. This is the chance of a lifetime if he's got that gleam in his eyes. Klitschko, all he needs is that gleam, that hunger. He could be heavyweight champion of the world. He's big enough.
In height and weight, they were almost identical. All the hard work has led Vitali to this very moment right here. All the struggle of growing up in the USSR, all the grueling training sessions and all the mental suffering that occurred after he had to quit versus Chris Byrd due to an injury. This is his moment to silence the critics, and most importantly, this was his moment to show the world that Vitali Klitschko is the best heavyweight in the world. When entering the arena, all of the crowd was booing the big, giant Ukrainian. It was clear Vitali was booked to come to the United States to lose against Lennox Lewis. And this point became even more apparent when it was officially announced that there would be 3 American judges scoring this bout. Surely they would have Vitali behind on the scorecards. As always, Vitali stayed focused. Look into this man's eyes and facial expression. He is like a built Terminator focused only on completing his mission, dominate. During the introduction, something caught my eye that the Klitschko brothers have said many times when being asked why they were so successful in a boxing ring. The opponent is standing in the ring with one of the 2 Klitschko brothers, yes, but he's actually fighting against both of them.
It's very important for me to make the fight against Lennox Lewis and beat him. Because I will be fight not for me. It's Lennox Lewis, don't know, he fight against two brothers Klitschko.
One giving the other one complete focus, energy, and strength. Just look, both of them are even moving the same, sizing up their opponents on a completely different level. Mind games through the roof. The battle is on. Round number 1. Both giants are fighting for the center of the ring.
Will it be heaven or will it be hell? For Vitali Klitschko, most critics think it will be hell.
Klitschko is being much more aggressive than experts thought he would be.
Klitschko lands a good right hand.
Hard right hand by Klitschko, best punch of the round.
Lewis is fighting a little dirty, scraping the elbow across Vitali's head in the clinch. Round number 2. Both fighters are trying to establish the jab, and Klitschko is teeing off with big right hands.
That jab, one time. But this Klitschko guy, the fight is his. All he has to do is reach out and get it.
With awkward short arm shots,
Lewis hangs on for dear life.
Leading Lewis to the punch. He rips him again with the right hand. Lewis momentarily wobbles. And now Lewis is still wobbly as Vitali goes after him.
He landed a really stiff, straight right hand that wobbled Lewis.
After some great combinations, Lewis has taken severe damage and he's close to getting knocked on the canvas.
And Lennox Lewis's left eye is beginning to swell, and there may be blood under the eye. Vitali Klitschko is roughing Lennox Lewis up as the second round begins to come down the stretch.
There's a big welt over the eyes of Lewis, who staggers back to the corner.
But he's saved by the bell. The energy in the arena has shifted. The commentators and entire audience can't believe what they are witnessing.
You've got to take it to him now, okay?
You almost got him. You did it very, very well. You almost got him.
Here's the big punch that changed that round. A straight right that got under the left of Lewis, it seemed. Lennox Lewis said that he didn't see any skill level in Klitschko.
Round number 3. Lewis comes out swinging and he's going for it.
As he goes after Klitschko, just as Emmanuel Stewart told him to do.
During the clinch, Lewis hits Vitali with the inside of his gloves and manages to cut Vitali above his left eye. Lewis notices the cut instantly and tries to open it further.
Using the rough out tactic.
The same tactics that gave Vitali the injury, tying up and throwing right hands to it during the clinch.
Guys.
Lance, who do you have in your corner to work on your eye?
But no stopping the Ukrainian Terminator. He's continuing to dominate with his jab, and his work rate is insane. Right hand after right hand.
And now a hard right hand by Klitschko stops Lewis's rush.
Lewis, if you ask me, he's just not in shape.
No, please.
He entered the fight not in good shape.
10 seconds, guys.
During the break of the round, it becomes clear that the cut is going to be an issue. It's above the eye, which is problematic due to the boxer not being able to see out of that eye due to the blood rushing in it, and the cut is extremely deep and wide. The large cotton sticks that his cut man is pushing against it to stop the bleeding just disappears in the wound.
We have more time. We call timeout.
Ring doctor in Vitali's corner is Paul Wallace.
You saw the punch that started the blood flowing.
This is the type of cut to stop a fight at any time. Round number 4. Both men stumble and Lewis falls on Klitschko. Klitschko kicks him when he's down. Protect yourself at all times, gentlemen. His only focus, getting that cut deeper before the fight starts going into later rounds.
I'm sorry, but the corner's got to take a good look at this guy's eye. I know it's a world heavyweight title match and all that, but a man has got to see for the rest of his life as well.
Are you surprised they didn't stop it, George?
I'm very surprised.
I'm not surprised at all in a heavyweight championship fight. I think Klitschko is determined to redeem the Klitschko name in terms of his courage and his will.
One shot, he can do it too. One right hand.
Again and again, the referee has to break up the clinch. It really is becoming apparent that Lewis can't continue at Vitali's pace.
Lewis appears to be really tired. We've never seen this Lennox Lewis before.
Round number 5, a big uppercut lands clean on Klitschko's chin.
Klitschko has done an excellent job of staying away from that big overhand right.
Lewis makes some weak attempts to hurt Vitali. He seems disoriented and fatigued.
And good professional work by Lewis against the ribcage as Vitali takes it, and referee Lou Barrett just looks on.
I don't know how the referee can let that holding and hitting go on.
Round number 6.
With each passing round, the chance increases that Vitali Klitschko will see his bid for the heavyweight championship end on that bad left eye cut.
Lewis gets him with one of the hardest right hand uppercuts I have ever seen.
Left eye.
And what is this? Vitali doesn't even wobble. He just took Lewis' best shot of the night, flush on the chin, and just keeps fighting, proving to all the critics that he can, in fact, take a punch. The blood on his face says it all. This fight is not going to go much longer. Lewis makes more attempts with his jab to open the cut even more with the inside part of his glove. Vitali shows that he can not only stand toe-to-toe with Lennox's physical power, but he even backs him up. A cheap shot after the bell by Lewis says it all.
Exhausted.
This guy is not aware what's going on anymore. He just drops on the corner chair. Sadly, my friends, the fight is stopped.
Lennox Lewis, in spite of himself, has a successful defense of his heavyweight title.
And you know I'm happy because this guy showed he's got heart, he's tough, he can come back. But you blow your eye, that's the end of everything.
The crowd is cheering for Vitali.
Larry, to use one of your phrases from last fight,
and is booing Lewis. Vitali understandably is enraged because he knows the victory was his.
Was it the commission or was it his corner? Harold Letterman.
Okay, Larry, Dr. Paul Wallace, the chief physician here in California, looked at the cut, went to referee Lou Moret in the middle of the ring and advised Lou to stop the fight. Lou Moret waved his arms and it was all over.
Lewis just stares at the true victor while he raises his hand to the crowd, embarrassed, ashamed, and most of all, beaten. Vitali walks up to Lennox and tells him to give him a rematch. Lennox agrees but doesn't want to say it in the camera.
Klitschko's people are making a point about it.
The situation gets heated and they are separated before it escalates.
That should be a rematch. No doubt in my mind. If the fight had gone on for 12 rounds, he would have gotten a decision. If it had not been for the cut, he could have won that boxing match.
It's going to take a while for that eye to heal, sufficient for a rematch to take place.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, but he deserves a rematch. And I'm telling you, he was ahead on points, and he could have won that fight had not been for the cut.
I want a rematch. When doctor stops the fight, I won't fight again. I show for everybody I can be Lewis.
Do you think, Vitali, that you redeemed the reputation of the Klitschkos by fighting so valiantly with so much courage?
You know, I am so disappointed. I'm destroyed with this decision because I prepared me for this fight so long time. I wait 1 year the chance to fight world championship. I want to be world champion. It happens. It's not a big problem. I can see with left eyes.
I think many of us would like to see a rematch. Thank you for such a great fight. And I think you must have certainly been heartened by the response of the crowd here at the end of the fight.
I want to thank you. I want to say thank you very much for audience here in the Staples Center, because everybody support me in this fight, and I want rematch.
The scorecards say it all. Vitali was winning on all of them, and that's saying a lot, being that all the judges were American judges. Even though Vitali officially lost the fight, he cemented his legacy and finally got the respect he deserved for so long. What a fighter, what a boxer, what a true champion. The most embarrassing moment of the night goes out to the absolute arrogant, sore loser, champion Lennox Lewis. The once great Olympic gold medalist and great champion has become the arrogant little man who can't stand up to the truth and give his opponent credit for one hell of a fight on his behalf.
You said that he had no skill level and that he had no heart. What do you say now?
Well, you know, if the fight would have went more, they should have stopped.
No, the fight didn't go more. What happened in the 6 rounds? What is your impression of him now?
He's okay. Yeah, what do you want me to say?
I want you to say what you say. Was it a harder fight than you anticipated?
No, not really. I was getting to him. There's no way he could have finished the fight. If you look at the state of his face, there's no way. He's lucky the fight was stopped. I was just getting to him, and he was just deteriorating anyway. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just asking you for your impressions, because you seem to dismiss him that he could even compete with you.
Well, yeah, of course he can compete with me. That's why he's here in the #1 position.
Well, I understand you were behind on all the judges' scorecards.
Listen, he would have got knocked out the next couple of rounds. It was just a matter of time. He was definitely deteriorating. So I don't even know what you're talking about, Larry.
Well, I'm telling you what the score is.
Huh?
I'm just telling you what the scoring of the officials was.
Oh, okay. So anyway, the referee's lucky he stopped the fight. Anyway, look at the state of his face.
Would you say now that he has no heart?
Well, you know, you would have seen the next couple rounds. He would have probably.
You don't want to give him any credit, it seems.
I do give him credit.
Were you tired? You looked like you were tired as well.
Oh, I was just getting my second win, Larry. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. I'm tougher than him.
Vitali did absolutely everything he could to get that rematch.
I want rematch.
That should be a rematch. No doubt in my mind.
I hope this will be a rematch.
Now, to any of you who still, after this detailed segment right here, believe, to this day, that Lennox Lewis compared to Vitali Klitschko is the better boxer and that he would have beat him in a rematch, well, let me just show you the last piece of evidence right here that proves that Lennox Lewis was scared shitless of the Ukrainian giant, turning down a over $25 million rematch fight deal against Vitali Klitschko.
Is it true that you actually turned down a potential $25 million bout to fight Vitali one last time?
Yes, it is true. In fact, it was actually more money than that.
But sadly, my friends, we know it never happened because shortly after this night, Lennox Lewis retired. And if you're wondering what Vitali's instant reaction was...
Did you get any advance word that this announcement was going to happen, or did it catch you completely by surprise?
Actually, Lennox called me 1 week ago and gave me information he want to retire. Unhappy result. I'm sorry?
Lennox called you, telephoned you at your home.
Yeah, he called me my cell phone.
Lennox Lewis saying that he has achieved all he wanted to and beaten all of the opponents of back then and there was nothing left for him to do or prove. This is why he must retire. Congratulations, Lennox Lewis, on your fantastic career. But even your own home country doesn't accept you as one of their own because you are an arrogant sellout and you are only half the boxer Vitali Klitschko ever was, and even less than half the man outside the ring. Now, you probably noticed that this fight really does mean a lot to me, and that's because when I saw this fight as a 9-year-old kid with my grandfather, father and brother, I looked up to Vitali Klitschko. He was my hero growing up. He was the guy who represented boxing best. The old school mentality of being a class act outside the ring and one hell of a fighter inside. The old school Rocky-like mentality to never give up and never quit, which yes, the story of course does not end here. Vitali wasn't no quitter. He wanted to prove to the world that he was the best heavyweight boxer on the planet.
I win the fight because I want to be world champion and I be world champion. Now or later.
And he would do so by taking these next steps right here. In the meantime, Vladimir Klitschko had been defending his WBO World Heavyweight Championship until the big upset of the 8th of March 2003 when he faced the South African Corey Sanders. Many believed Corey Sanders to be a washed up, long past his prime heavyweight. He shocked the world by knocking Vladimir out in the second round.
This is okay. It's no problem. Open your mouth.
Here are questions being asked. A perfect left hand asked of Klitschko. He's never been asked before. How does he deal with adversity? That's what we all wanted to see. And he has got a lot of adversity to deal with right here.
Well, we know what Hasim Rahman was able to do in this situation. He was able to come back and knock Sanders out. Now Klitschko's down a third time, and there are 2 minutes, 53 seconds to go in this round.
And he's not seeing that left hand come. He just cannot see the left hand that Sanders is hitting him with.
And he's attacking to try to get out of trouble instead of holding. And this is not going to go well. Another knockdown, the fourth time, and the referee, Gennaro Rodriguez, stops the fight, and thus ends the Vitali Klitschko, or the Vladimir Klitschko Express.
You can look at Klitschko's body, there's still not much sweat on him at all. Leaving out of the dressing room, waiting for the shoulder in, body is dry as a bone.
After the fight, the much older Corey Sanders showed much respect by comforting the young Vladimir Klitschko and his recent loss. Vitali was there as well, of course, and you could tell that he was ready to get in the ring with Corey himself. So in the second fight, after fighting Lewis, Vitali got the opportunity once again to revenge his younger brother, Vladimir. The fight took place on the 24th of April 2004 and it was for the vacant WBC Heavyweight Championship. It was a completely one-sided battle.
Keine Treffer. Gute Weitbewegungen mit dem Oberkörper von Vitali Klitschko. Viel Substanz bei Sanders. Klitschko jetzt die rechte. Kommt jetzt das große Finish. Noch eine halbe Minute in dieser 8. Runde. Und dieser Südafrikaner. Aber er taumelt fast nur noch durch den Ring. Schauen Sie, was da wegsteckt. Und er geht dazwischen. Der Kampf ist aus. Klitschko ist Weltmeister.
The fight was stopped in the 8th round. Sanders had taken one hell of a beating. After the fight, he told Vitali that he did not knock him down though. What a warrior. Another great underrated fighter. Rest in peace, former heavyweight world champion Corey Sanders. Sadly, he died in 2012 due to gunshot wounds. There was a robbery taking place and he stood in front of his daughter protecting her. His daughter was not harmed. Respect. So after Vladimir lost to Sanders, just 2 fights later on the 10th of April 2004, he faced Layman Brewster for the WBO heavyweight title. It was by far Vladimir's most brutal bout.
Brewster versucht verzweifelt hier einen guten Krabbelsalat. Es gelingt ihm. Gute Linke von Brewster. Wie er zurückkommt in dieser 5. Runde. Unglaublich. Klitschko ist in Schwierigkeiten und wird angezählt. Im Stehen angezählt. Das das schon. Er muss klammern, er muss sich erholen. Warum hat er nur im Stehen angezählt? Es gibt kein Anzählen im Stehen. Und Klitschko, noch ein paar Sekunden retten, bis es in die Pause geht. Und zählt ihn an, der Gong rettet nicht vor dem K.O. Zählt ihn an oder nicht? Der Gong rettet nicht vor dem K.O. Kommt er nochmal hoch? Der Kampf ist aus. Er nimmt ihn raus. Klitschko verliert.
He had been knocked down twice, and post-fight in the hospital, doctors told him he would never be able to box again due to the injuries he had suffered to his head.
Das Gesicht von Wladimir Klitschko, der so souverän geboxt hat, gezeichnet durch die Schläge von Brewster, immer noch völlig benommen, wird er untersucht von der Ringärztin. Zweimal hat er ihn richtig fett erwischt hier. Das sind Wirkungstreffer, aber hier unterbindet er den Kampf. Entweder stoppt er den Kampf, aber er darf, das sehen die Regeln vor, im Stehen nicht anzählen. Klare Regeln der WBO. Zum Schutz des Boxers besteht die Möglichkeit, den Kampf abzubrechen. Und hier der erste Niederschlag in dieser Runde, zeitgleich fast mit der Glocke zur Ringpause. Aber der Gong rettet nicht vor dem K.O. Was sind das für Bilder? Das hatte niemand für möglich gehalten, dass dies Klitschko noch einmal passieren könnte.
Vladimir did in fact return and face Brewster again, and he beat him on the 7th of July 2007.
Okay? That's it, baby. That's it.
He's calling the fight.
Throw in the towel right now.
Referee.
Buddy
That's it.
McGirt. Buddy
That's it.
McGirt stops the fight.
That's it, gang.
An anticlimactic knockout, if ever there was one. A merciful exit for Layman Brewster, provided by his trainer, Buddy McGirt.
Well, you know, I think Buddy made...
I can't keep getting hit like that, you know. I have a wife and I have 4 kids, and I want to be in my right mind to be able to speak to him down the road.
The only time, actually, that Vladimir avenged his own loss. But before he did that, he returned after his first loss against Brewster in 2004, and just 2 fights later, he faced off against one of the hardest punchers in this boxing era. On the 24th of September 2005, he went toe-to-toe with Samuel Peter for the vacant WBO World Heavyweight Championship.
We turn our attention now to the heavyweight fight upcoming. Potentially a tremendous battle between Vladimir Klitschko and the new sensation of the division, Samuel Peter.
The Steel Hammer, Vladimir Klitschko.
Even though he beat Samuel Peter and became the WBO heavyweight champion once again, he was knocked down 3 times by Peter throughout the fight.
Yeah, it's like that all night. You just can't do it. You gotta do something to stop it. Make something.
Peter hit Klitschko right on the back of the head with a right hand, and it counts as a knockdown. An all-out war now. There were no punches that landed there, but this is going to be called the second knockdown against Klitschko. Neither man goes down.
This is a moment of truth for Klitschko.
Third knockdown of the fight for Peter.
Vitali was watching, and you could tell by his reaction that he had a score to settle with Samuel for knocking his brother on the canvas.
I must break you.
On the 11th of October 2008, Vitali met Samuel Peter in the ring for the WBC heavyweight title. Vitali took Samuel Peters to the cleaners. Making him quit in round number 8.
It looks like Peter has said stop it. He doesn't want to continue out, and that's it. It's all over.
On the 16th of October 2010, he would face Shannon the Cannon Briggs.
Watch me knock out Vitali Klitschko October 16th.
Throughout boxing history, we have seen many brutal fights. Just check out some Jack Dempsey fights from the 1920s and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this fight here in particular was just hard to watch. Shannon Briggs was by far the toughest boxer I ever watched from the era starting of 2000. The amount of damage he took without going down was sickening. In fact, he almost lost his life. One of the few times in boxing history where I think that the ref should have stopped the fight earlier and not let it go to a decision. It's like the other opposite extreme of nowadays where referees call fights off way too quickly. Vitali would go on defending his WBC heavyweight championship until his last fight in 2012. He retired with a victory.
And still WBC heavyweight champion of the world from Kiev and Hamburg, Dr. Ironfist Vitali Klitschko.
Vitali became the mayor of Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. He didn't stop fighting. He's fighting for his people's rights in the parliament. Yes, literally fighting. Haha, to this day.
To this day!
In 2016, when Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko and defeated him, Vitali got some fire back inside him and was debating whether he should lace up his boots and gloves once more.
The fight against Joshua, the best wish. I have a feeling I can do it better. I knock him out.
Mark my words, if Vitali had faced off against AJ after Vladimir lost to him, then he would have defeated Anthony Joshua, and yes, even though he was over 45 years old. The biggest question that many of you now have is probably why I say that Vitali is the most underrated heavyweight boxer of all time. And after this video, if you still don't understand my point why I choose Vitali over any other heavyweight in the past, and you're one of those folks who ask themselves why not Larry Holmes or what I'm assuming most of you think is Riddick Bowe. Well, simply put, nobody talks about Vitali's career nowadays. Nobody mentions him when talking about the true greats. Vitali was never knocked down. He has the highest knockout percentage of any retired world champion boxer. Yes, that includes all weight classes, folks. His only 2 losses were because of injuries and he was comfortably leading on all the scorecards. Throughout his boxing career, he always stayed ready and was always dedicated 100% to this great sport. Something you just can't say about someone like Riddick Bowe. Get my point? He beat all in his time. Enough said. There is no justification in saying he's not that good because he did not face anyone of the likes of Mike Tyson or Holyfield. Vitali, even though he officially lost against Lewis, retired him. What does that tell you? And by far, the biggest reason why I believe that Vitali Klitschko is the most underrated boxer of all time is this one here. It's important to see what a person does as soon as they have success. Vitali has given back so much to the world and the people of Ukraine. He is an intelligent, polite, and respectful person towards anyone and all. A great role model for young upcoming generations. Far better than people like Floyd Mayweather or other boxers of today. This is why the title for the most underrated heavyweight of all time must go to a true boxer and a class act outside the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, the most underrated heavyweight boxer of all time,
Dr. Ironfist, Vitali Klitschko!
I want to personally thank you for watching this entire video with yours truly, Uzuk, and I encourage you, if you are a die-hard boxing fan and are in desperate need of some really good old school boxing content, then you've come to the right place, buddy. Press that like button and subscribe for future great content. Boxing unites us all, and united we stand. I will catch you on the counterpunch, my fellow boxing enthusiasts.